of Beverly Hills.
I'm going to be talking a little bit in code today because if you watch my channel and you watch my live, yes.
Is the plane going down? Are we going to die? Why are you saying I'm sorry?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am the Housewife Historian, and today we are talking Real Housewives. It is Tuesday. We're going to be getting it's the finale of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. We've heard so much about Jersey this week and the weekend, and I posted some videos also on my Instagram for you guys, so you should go check them out at HW Historian. A lot of good stuff coming out, and I also want to talk to you guys about a couple different things that have been going around on the internet about housewives. So before we get into all of that, guys, I can't talk today. Jeez. Would you guys mind hitting the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on? I channel all my tea through my YouTube channel first and then take it to like my other platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find me on all of those platforms as well. Instagram, HW Historian 2. TikTok, HW Historian. It's the same photo. I'm sure you guys will be able to find me. So first of all, I want to talk about a couple of housewives we haven't heard a lot about in a while, but their franchise is about to be coming up, and that's allegedly the Real Housewives of Miami. We're hearing that Peacock is not going to be doing the production. It's going to be Bravo, which is slightly disappointing, but being all that said, I want to tell you guys that I want to make a prediction that Marisol and Alexia are going to come out with a podcast. I can feel it. I made my way over to the Two Teas in a Pod podcast because, sometimes they have some tea over there. And I talked to you guys about Tamara and Teddy. And we know that the OC is allegedly going to be coming out. Do we have a date? I don't even know. I can't keep track. I did see that Shannon Bedore was on their list of guests, but I didn't listen to the episode. I actually saw that Marisol and Alexia from the Real Housewives of Miami did a podcast, and it's just them. And they're talking about Mother's Day, and they're talking about moms, and I feel like it was what's the word called? Like when they do oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. This is why I hate doing lives, because when I can't think of the word, nobody can, like an audition sort of, but not really, just like a demo tape sort of what kind of housewives, platform are they going to be really going after, because we know that the housewives there's a lot of housewives that have podcasts now. We have Heather Dubrow, we have Teresa Giudice, and Melissa Feaster. We also have we have Tamara and Teddy. So we have a lot of housewives that have podcasts. Melissa Gorga has a podcast as well. And so guys, I think sometimes Bravo wants to be able to control what kind of press really goes out there, and I feel like sometimes they get nervous with the ladies having these podcasts because they get lost maybe in the emotion of things, or they leak something. I mean, there's been a lot of word about the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and one of the ladies had done like 14 different podcasts and interviews, and Bravo allegedly and people were like reaching out, and she was just ignoring phone calls and just doing her own thing, because what do you have to lose if you feel like it could possibly be your last season anyways? You have nothing to lose, right? So maybe that was her mindset during that time. However, my point is that sometimes if women get upset, they have these podcasts, they accidentally say things get leaked. I don't know if Bravo necessarily likes that, because we do know that they didn't want, I don't even think they really wanted Teddy doing a podcast. And then Tamara, she wasn't on the show yet. If you guys remember, she actually got fired, and she came onto the Two Teas in a Pod podcast. Oh gosh, guys, my battery is already getting low. Two Teas in a Pod podcast, and she one day was just it was their podcast. That podcast originally started out as Teddy Mellencamp's podcast, and she called it a tea in a pod. It was something along those lines. But yeah, it started out a one-man podcast, and when Tamara joined, it was two of them, and then eventually Tamara made her way back to the Real Housewives of Orange County. A lot of rumors about Heather Dubrow quitting. Some people are saying that the rumors aren't true, so maybe I'm just confused because I saw a clip from Entertainment Tonight that had Heather saying that, you know, basically she was stepping back, yada, 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 you know, a typical Heather statement. And it would make sense because they sold their house in Orange County and they're living in like a high rise, you know, millions of dollar LA apartment. But at the same time, it would be very difficult to, how are you going to film Orange County Housewives if you're really living in LA? That's not going to really work. And so I'm not sure. I think that it's possible that she really is quitting. Got fired with Tamara coming back. I don't know. So if you guys know, make sure that you guys comment and let me know what you've heard on the subject, because I'm just maybe slightly confused. Maybe the Entertainment Tonight article wasn't new. I'm not sure. Also, the Randall Emmett situation, guys, this is going to get intense. I don't think that everyone really realizes the magnitude. I think that everyone is thinking that the scandal is Lala and Randall hooking up, and that's likely not the scandal that we're talking about here, guys. There's a lot more to this man and this story. I don't know how much we're going to get on the ABC special, but I'm assuming as much as they can give us. The last thing that we really heard in the news allegedly was that the mother of his two other children had filed for emergency custody because the FBI had reached out. And I don't think that the accusations are just money accusations. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, obviously I'm not going to come out and say anything like that, because I would never do that unless if I absolutely knew it was true or had proof or receipts or anything like that. But I did post a DM that was written by someone, and they were a source about the subject, but they did not want to come forward, and they had considered being anonymous and working with a media outlet, and it went bad. But the DM made its way onto Instagram, and my friend over at Bravo_Boo, she actually originally posted it, and so I shared it for you guys on my Instagram, HW Historian 2. And actually, it was shared on my original Instagram months and months ago. And she was actually the first person though to share it, but it was months and months ago. And then following that, after that was posted, which allegedly he was not happy about. Then shortly after that, there was the post made by the assistant, and I also shared that on my Instagram, HW Historian 2, and that was also shared by Bravo_Boo. She had shared that originally too. So now we have two different statements from two different people that are not affiliated, and they're really not even talking about the same thing. One is an assistant, and the other one is an anonymous person as it pertains to underage, whatever you want to call it. You guys already know. So I don't need to say it or get into, you guys already know what I'm talking about. But I don't know how much of that they're going to put into the documentary. I don't know, because I don't think we've seen any sort of arrest or anything like that. Is there an arrest coming? I don't think he got arrested, but for whatever reason, because the FBI had reached out to the ex-wife, that's what allotted her the ability to file for like emergency sole custody or whatever the case was. I don't think the FBI contacted Lola. I don't know why. I don't know exactly why I think that, because I think she would have told us, we would know by now, which is a little suspicious why they wouldn't have. But who knows? They make moves that we don't know all the time, right? We don't always know what's going down. Speaking of, we're going to have to check in on Tom Girardi. We didn't forget about you over there at the old folks home, sir. Don't think we forgot about you. It's just been busy over here in New Jersey, and I'm sure that you're thankful for that. I also posted an interview that was Margaret, Melissa, and Dolores, and they did a podcast, I think it was like 3 months ago, with these two lovely girls. They're out of New Jersey. I can't remember the name of the podcast, but I posted it, and I think I need to go back and make sure I credited them as well. See, sometimes, guys, it's just an oversight, like by accident. Like, you post something and you're like, wait, damn, that's from their podcast. I need to name them. So sometimes it's by accident that we forget to do that stuff. So, but it's still really, really important to make sure you're giving credit to the creator of whatever you are sharing or posting, because everyone puts a lot of work into their content and it's only like the fair thing to do, right? So anyways, guys, Real Housewives of New Jersey. I just lost my thought where I was going with that. Oh, yes, the three women went on and did interview 3 months ago, and it was very telling. Putting my sunglasses on. It was very telling because of the fact that, first of all, I need a timeline of when the after show was taped. Okay. I need to know what transpired from when to when that had Margaret going into the after show filming and saying that, Polly is allegedly married. I need to know when that happened. And that's so hard because they do like their interviews and the after show. I don't know if they do the after show in one sitting. We should find out. Or if that's broke up like their confessionals. Like, they don't do just one confessional with one look. Like, they'll do multiple interviews, multiple confessions, and they have to repeat the same look each time. So it kind of messes with our timeline a little bit. And I think that Bravo almost does that on purpose to cover their asses if they ever make a mistake on the timeline. But I need to know when this happened, like when Margaret filmed this, because Margaret filmed it by herself. Did you guys notice that? So number one, anything that Margaret filmed, she didn't have a co-worker with her to discuss with her or the other ladies what was discussed at the after show or what questions were asked, yada yada yada. I'm sure that's something that they want to know, right? Like, oh, what they ask you at the after show. Like, they're employee, they're like co-workers with each other. So just how you might be with your co-workers, like, what he say, what the boss, yada yada yada, they do the same exact thing. They're like, what'd she ask you, how she, well, they asked me this. And so Margaret sort of had an advantage, and I don't know how they necessarily pick who films with who. However, Margaret was by herself, so she she could have hypothetically dropped that at any point that she felt like it, and no one knowed. And Bravo didn't air it till the end of the season when they gave us the after show, and they chose when to release it. Because I'm trying to put together a timeline. 3 months ago, Dolores and Margaret and Melissa went on this podcast with these three young ladies, and I'm going to put the podcast name in the comments after I'm done so that you guys know who I'm talking about. And they all three seemed to be in good graces with each other. Margaret sat in the middle, which I thought was telling, which showed me that either Margaret was forcing Dolores to be nice to her, like, oh, I'm going to force you to be nice to me. I'm going to be so nice to you. You're going to have to be nice to me. I'm going to sit on right next to you. Because if not, I feel like Melissa would have sat in the middle. I'm not sure. I couldn't really pick up exactly on the dynamic because I didn't get to finish the whole thing, right? The first few couple of minutes, the ladies really, this is interesting, guys. The ladies go really hard about filming in the summer. And they really are tired. It's been 6 years of filming in the summer. And Dolores is like, listen, I'm not complaining. Like, we're lucky to have our jobs. And Melissa interrupts and she's like, well, I am complaining because, we would like to have a summer sometimes too. And Margaret, comes in basically and says the same exact thing that Melissa says. And they really are sort of complaining about their filming schedule. And I think, guys, it's important to understand too, like, the Stephanie from the Real Housewives of Dallas, she actually does this little TikTok. It's really cute. People ask questions, she answers it, and also all sort of questions that you might be interested if you watch the Real Housewives, right? And so one of the things was like, what is filming like? Like, what is your, and she said you get your schedule so much in advance. And she's like, 1 week you might work like 4 days that week, 40 hours that week, and then the next week you might not work at all, and then the next week you might work 5 days, but nothing over, nothing crazy. But it's not like they're filming every single day. Like, everything gets planned out in advance. They have to get approval from everywhere that they go, every restaurant, every person, everything has to be approved pretty much ahead of time. So they have a tight schedule that they run off, and of course they make adjustments as necessary. it's just hard to understand what is happening here. Viewers are having a hard time following because it's something is like transpiring behind the scenes, but we don't really know what. Okay, we know that it's very unlike Dolores to not be 100,000% truthful to us. Okay, she has never, I don't think, been not truthful to the audience. Maybe she's unfairly wavered towards someone for loyalty purposes, but I don't think coming out and lying is of her caliber. She's not a woman that lies. I'm like that. I don't lie about any. I don't even want to lie if you ask me to go hang out on Friday and I don't want to because I just want to watch my favorite show or whatever I don't get to see my boy, whatever the case may be. I'm never just going to tell a white lie like, "Oh, I have to work. I'm sorry." And just get out of it. Like I'm just very honest, and I'll say like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like I really want to hang out with you and I love you so much, but I'm like exhausted on Fridays because I work 10 hours and I just want to go home and relax with my boo thing and maybe we can hang out like Sunday." Right? That's just me. Everyone is different, but I feel like Dolores is a lot like that. She doesn't just tell a lie to tell a lie. Like some people are like, "Oh, white lie is not a big deal," and other people like me, I just don't like to lie. So it's very strange for the audience, for all of us, to be like, why didn't we know that Polly was married this whole season? Like, did producers keep this from the audience? Because allegedly he's just been going through like a long divorce, like years and years, like years and years and years long of a divorce. And that isn't something that's uncommon with people that have a lot of money. It seems a little uncommon because he said that he had a great relationship with his ex. So I think that's where the contradiction might be. Like he feels like he needs to put on a I have a great relationship with my ex and we co-parent amazingly because Dolores and Frank have this amazing co-parenting relationship. And so Polly doesn't want to come in and be like, "You know what, Frank, F you, I'm the man in Polly's life, or I'm the man in Dolores's life." And then Frank be like, "Well, you can't even get along with your ex. What do you mean you're going to come in here and tell Dolores how we're going to do things now and how our family dynamic needs to run and who should be, yada, yada, yada." Like, it's sort of a situation of like clean up your backyard before you clean up mine, right? But maybe we're completely off base. Who knows? Because we just don't know. Is this a production thing? Was this an error? Was this on purpose? The way Margaret said it, though, definitely made it feel like she was telling the audience something the audience didn't know. Don't you think? Now, Dolores has, yes, I think since come out and said that he is married. I can't quite remember though, like what setting, if somebody asked her. I'm not sure. But also, guys, I have a story from, was it like last April, maybe? It was on my old Instagram. And I think I did a YouTube on it too. And it was a pretty intense story because it involved a lot of like a tangled web of people basically. And this tangled web when it came out, people didn't believe me. First of all, they like did not believe me. It ended up coming out in OK Magazine, and of course, sorry, it wasn't something really that big of a deal, but I did get the feeling that maybe the people involved didn't want everyone to know about it. So I don't want to bring it up again, but it's bringing itself up again in my DMs. And I'm doing a little bit more research and I'm asking some more questions. And then I might talk to you guys about it later. But it's just really strange, right? All of this, it's like we have all these puzzle pieces, but like nothing's really fitting together. We know that the Gorgas have been horrible all season, We know what happened to the Gansevoort Hotel with Jennifer. All she was doing was waiting on an elevator, right? And that happened. We know that Andy Cohen obviously was not happy about it, that allegedly Melissa wrote him like a 2,000 word essay, text message about the situation. Oh, that many times. And yeah, I just, they knew about that. They know how that machine operates. There's no way the producers and Bravo doesn't know how everything is running per like Eminem's teams. And so I just still can't understand why they're putting them on pause. And we heard them talking about like hating filming during the season, like during the summer. Like, why wouldn't they have just told us that a long time ago? Why wouldn't they have just said, like, we're going to move New Jersey's schedule? The finale filmed how long ago? A year ago? So they've had a year to, I don't know. It's just strange to me. I'm just telling you, something is a myth, whatever the word is. There's something we're missing. David Yonta from Behind the Velvet Rope says that he has major tea coming out about this on Saturday with him and Kim D, their podcast that comes out on YouTube. And I don't know, hopefully it has the puzzle pieces that we're missing, because I keep like racking my brain. We did get text messages. I wanted to read them directly to you guys, but I don't have my Chromebook out here to share my screen, but they are text messages with which what looks to be the last couple of correspondence between Laura Lee Jensen and Margaret Josephs. The text messages, first of all, everything Laura Lee Jensen said absolutely correlates, right? Marge texts her and says, "Hey, it's Christmas time, all these Christmas parties. I'm so scared Christmas is gonna be like last year with COVID. I gotta go get a COVID test. And I think she said she canceled something, and then she said the guys canceled their wrestling night, so I may have to take Joe as my plus one to this party because I'm only allowed to have one guest and it's like tight. And so Laura Lee was like super nice about it. And she was like, no problem, but I am canceling New Year's Eve because I'm off work that week and I just want to go to the spa and I just want to relax. And she's like, oh, that's what she said. But did you forget that you invited me on Friday? And that's when she said, oh, no, I remember, but I might have to take Joe as my plus one. And Lexi already had an invitation. And so Laura wasn't mean about it at all. I mean, maybe there was a little bit, but I don't really think so. I think there was probably a little bit of like hurt in the fact that she may have thought that Margaret was like ditching her and taking Lexi. But at the same time, I didn't really get that feeling either. I just kind of got the feeling that Laura felt like she was like getting the runaround from Margaret, like, oh, well, da 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 da, and this and that, yada yada yada, and this yada yada yada. And so, but she didn't ask a lot of questions. Like she was short and sweet. Like she was letting Margaret off the hook completely. And then Margaret responds, and she was like kind of mean, and she was like, I feel like I have to explain myself to you, and I shouldn't have to explain the details of this party. And if Lexi got an invitation and she did, and she's just not taking a plus one because she's not allowed. And again, they're keeping this party tight. And I think that Laura was just like pissed that Marge like came at her that way, because she's like, I've been so understanding, and here you come like being, not so nice to me. And so I think those are the last like correspondence that they had together, and those are posted on all RHONJ facts on Instagram, and I'll share them too on my story. But I want to read them word for word with you guys, just so that we can get a complete feel for them. Sorry I couldn't do that in this video, but that's pretty much what happened, what they fell out about. Well, also because Margaret then after that, she like axed Laura from Christmas, and they had celebrated Christmas together for like the last 20 years, which is, kind of crazy when you like have a friend that's like, you're like family, we're like family, and navigate and go on that way for years and years and years and years. And I think this is something that a lot of housewives do to their friends when they become housewives. If they feel any sort of like competition, or they won't bring them around. Like real housewives, the friends of are typically not really friends of. The only reason New Jersey did that is because New Jersey fans love the dynamic. They love that everyone knows each other. They love that there's family. That's how New Jersey is. It's like a tangled web. Everyone knows everyone, right? And so they didn't want to just bring Danielle and Rachel and throw them in, and people not think that there was a friendship between Rachel and Melissa. Like, oh, their kids go to school together. And then we had Danielle. And if you guys don't remember, Danielle and her husband were going out to eat with Louis and Teresa before the season started. Producers were like, get out there, get some pictures, get to know each other. So producers wanted them to sort of have a rapport built before they came onto the show, but typically that's not the case. Rewind Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you remember when Portia Williams brought Fairlyn, what was her name? Fairlyn on the show as her friend of, she had only ever met her the day they started filming, right? And then she ended up marrying her ex-husband. But yeah. So they don't know. They just or wrote in. They have a friend of, like, just like probably like Karen and Mia on the Real Housewives of Potomac. So I don't know. I'm just saying, y'all. I don't know what's going on, and I want to know, and I want to know everyone's opinions and thoughts. And do you think that they're just changing the filming schedule, or do you think that they're revamping the cast? I also am reminded that I think that Bravo wants to squeeze every last penny, dollar, every last click, every last download view that they can out of Melissa and Joe, because I think once they cut ties, I don't think they'll be going back for a very long time, because I cannot see them going out on good terms. I almost think that Bravo would like to keep Joe and maybe make Melissa like a friend of, but I can't see them doing that because I think Joe would be like so offended for Melissa. And I don't ever see that relationship between Bravo ending well, unless if Joe and Melissa were to pick up at a different network, some sort of deal or program with her family, or whatever the case may be. I mean, they've tried a couple of different things. We know that the men allegedly had their own thing going. I don't know if the men were going to be doing like remodels, if that was like their plan, or if they were going to actually be like the house husbands, or maybe like the house husbands remodel, because they're all sort of in the construction. Frank and Joe and Joe B. I don't know. So maybe there's potential for them on another network, maybe not. Maybe we're gonna see the wedding and it's gonna get like such great reviews that Bravo is just gonna, maybe they'll give Teresa like a 3-part series to get the ball rolling in case they don't start filming right away, if they're not ready, if they don't have the cast together, if they're not sure what they're doing. Like, okay, well then just do with Teresa and Louis and their kids. Like, they have a blended family, they have the girls, they have his kids. Like, they have to have plenty of content. I'm sure they would love that. So I don't know. I just think that maybe Bravo has something else in store. Like, maybe they're going to do a series with Teresa and Louis and the kids and their blended family. I don't know. We never know. So, all right, guys. Well, let me know what your thoughts are. Make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on so that you don't miss anything. And